What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel with the S1K, and this time I brought my RSV4 out too because I want to do a swap bike one-on-one to compare which one is better. Although this video is going to be about how much the service costs for this bike. I'm going to tell you how much the service costs, and then I'm going to do some comparisons with the two bikes, because so far I feel that the RSV4 is the winner, unfortunately, for the S1K fans, and I'll go over why. But drum roll, how much does the service cost? Right to the answer: nothing, guys. It's for free. You pay nothing. Normally the service at the BMW is around $500, 5 something. I paid $450 for my RSV4, and I paid another $450, I think, for $80 for my Panigale V4. But for the S1K, it's free. Now there's a catch if you want the service for free, and if you want to keep the warranty. The service must be done between 500 miles and 750 miles. 751, you lose the first service, aka warranty. You have to do within those miles. And of course, as a courtesy of BMW, it's for free. Guys, I mean, I'm telling you, buying this little bike, I think it's the easiest, most affordable little bike to own, especially for someone that's getting a little bike for the first time and wants to keep expenses low. This is, I think, the best choice when it comes to affordability, when it comes to ergonomics and ease of ride. You know, you feel very safe. Say hi to the photographer. There you go. So yeah, guys, if you do the service between 500 and 750 miles, the service is for free. You pay nothing instead of paying $500 something for the service. Now, before I go ahead and start reviewing this bike, how it feels and the power, because now it's finally unlocked. Now I have all the power. I can max it out. A few things: if the engine is not warmed up, it doesn't let you go past a certain RPM. For instance, it will still cut you off at 8,000 RPM if the engine is still cold, which is kind of cool for BMW. You know, this bike is packed with electronics, and I had no idea that I had that feature too. Basically, it protects you from, you know, killing your engine. I guess that's a good thing, but you know, I'm more of a traditional guy. I want to judge when I want to rev my bike and when to not. So for that reason, I prefer the traditional, you know, bikes. As my RSV4, Panigale V4. Although the Panigale V4 doesn't take much to warm up, we all know that. But the question is, guys, is it worth it, this bike, now that it's unlocked? I mean, I spoke about the brakes. The brakes are amazing at this bike. You know, the handling is amazing. Everything's great, but I have to say, I was riding my RSV4 for like 20 minutes now, coming from the canyons, and I just jumped in the BMW, and I have to say, it does not feel like a little bike. I've only went up to like 9,000 RPM so far, and it feels so slow. Literally, I have the throttle completely open, and it feels like I'm riding a 600. Now, I want to push it a little more over here, a little higher RPM, because I think... Should I go first? Thank you. Thank you. There it is. So it opens after 8,000 RPM. Before 8,000 RPM, this bike is dead. Literally dead. So if I'm at 8,000 plus, that's it. Here, exactly. Okay, 8,000 plus, this bike literally opens up. The question is how much, right? Let's see. Okay, ergonomics, this bike is something else. See, I'm opening the throttle and I have no power, which is good for new riders. Full power, full throttle, nothing. No response. If I'm not over 8,000 RPM, no response. There you go. Let me do a downshift. And try to open it here. 10,000. Nah, okay. 11,000 RPM, and you feel the power a little better. But the problem is, I mean, it doesn't scare me. It's, you know, with my RSV4, I have to control the throttle. If I don't control the throttle, you know, I'm gonna get into trouble. And with this bike, I cannot get into trouble. I mean, I can Open it, well, I still have a lot more room to open after 11,000. I'm gonna find some straights there to push like 13, 14,000 or max to see how it feels. But you know, riding this bike, I miss that torque from low end that the RSV4 has. Okay, he's telling me that he wants the RSV4. Oh my god. You can't beat that, man. Look, no power, look, full throttle, no power, one-handed. Now it opens. It's like a turbocharged, man. Nothing until 8,000 RPM, and then you hit 910. Look at this, turbocharged. Yeah, man, you have to be 9,000-10,000 plus with this bike to feel the power. See, full throttle, nothing. Look at this. Oh my god. I don't know, I actually feel it's slower than the 600 under 8K. Like, I feel my RS660 was faster than this bike under 8K. Okay, let me hear that GP20 doing that tunnel. But this bike is something else also, man. Yeah, there's something about the body position of this bike. It's so comfortable. Look, I can lean all the way down. Oh my god, there's something about the body position of this bike. Guys, if you're a new rider in a Lear bike, I mean, let's face it, this is your bike. It makes you a better rider. It's unbelievable. Like before, I was taking a left turn with my RSV4. My left hip hurts because there's too much weight on my left leg when I take the turns. There's something about the seat and the ergonomics that just puts a little more weight. Now with this bike, it just feels perfect. Yes, up there, the power is there, man. What is it about this bike and the ergonomics? It just feels easy. You know what? I want to jump on my RSV4. Now that I'm feeling it, I want to jump on it and see how it feels. Let's swap. Yeah. Well, let's switch. Let's do a one-on-one. I want to jump after this, bro. I'm telling you, I know you like the RSV4, but this is a different. How can I say that? It makes it easy, man. Like riding this bike, it's so freaking easy. It's unbelievable. I have a feeling I will be faster with this bike on the track and the BMW than this.
Yes, definitely.
Even though this has more power.
Right. And like, yeah, but same power. Just
You opened it?
it's fucking crazy.
I'm telling you.
A second fucking gear, I'm like, oh shit, put down the weight. It's crazy.
No, that was my disappointment. Is still under 8,000 RPM.
Oh,
no power.
Nothing.
Dead.
8 to 12, it's okay, and then 12 to 14 is
Yeah, 12 to 14 you get all the power.
like you get all the power.
That's why I think it makes a better like track bike. This is, I think, the better street bike, but again, it's all preference. I'm gonna jump on this one because now I'm curious, jumping immediately from this to this, how it feels.
GP shift.
And also, it's GP shift. Yeah, I should not forget that. Oh shit! Of course. I don't think I have time to catch it. Well, I have to get used to this bike right now. Whoa! Whoa! Yeah, man. Like jumping from the S1K to the RSV4, I feel like I'm riding a beast over here. Day and night. He blocked me. I won't be able to catch the horse. Oh my God, the power. Yeah. Yeah, there's no comparison, man. Holy moly, this is something else. I'm getting goosebumps, man, while riding it. There's no comparison. Oh my God. There you are. Hopefully he's gonna want to play a little bit. Yeah, goodbye, Force. There is no comparison, man. There's no joke. This thing is no joke. Oh my God. Oh. Guys, this bike it's a dream bike. I don't even get this rush with my Ducati, the Panigale. There's something about the RSV4. I think the Porsche is gone, so okay, I guess I'm not racing anymore. So, kind of a conclusion. The S1K is unlocked. Even though it's unlocked, it's extremely slow on low RPM. Under 8k RPM, the bike is dead. And when I say dead, guys, I mean it's concerning how powerless it is. There's no power under 8k RPM. You have to be on high RPM to get the power. So, you know, if you're gonna ride in the street, you want the power on low end. Just like this bike, you know, you're 3000 RPM with the RSV4. You open the throttle, it's like, you know, it's like whoa, 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 like power is insane, like you're fighting a bull or something. You know, I keep making these videos trying to get out a winner of the three bikes, S1K, RSV4, Panigale V4. I'm getting very close to announcing the winner, although it's very tricky announcing a winner because every bike is better at something else. So it's very difficult to say, okay, that's the winner. That's why I'm very hesitant to announce a winner, but the only thing I can do is express my opinion on which bike would I keep. Which one of the three, if I had to give them all and keep only one, which one would I keep? So if you stick around this video, guys, thanks for watching. I know I titled this video how much the first service cost for the S1K, but I extended it to a review between the two bikes to make a little more content for you guys if you decided to stick along. But I wanted to give the answer right away because, you know, I hate those videos where, you know, the title says, oh, how much it costs. You have to watch a 20-minute video to go at minute 23 to get the answer. I mean, I get it why people do that. YouTube algorithm wants you to stay in the video for multiple reasons, and that's why content creators do that. But you know, it's very annoying when that happens, so I decided to give you the answer in the beginning of the video. So there you have it. S1K service for free if you do it from 500 miles, between 500 and 750. The S1K, you know, it's a tricky bike. It's very comfortable, very easy to go into turns, but I don't know, it's not a bike I would choose to keep if I had to keep only one. So the question is, do I stay with 3 bikes or do I add more bikes? We'll see in the near future. So guys, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, what bike would you choose? What's your experience with the 3? And did you know that the service was for free for the S1K? Guys, thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you in the next one.